Hey girls, welcome back. Happy Tuesday. Um, Today I want you to keep in mind that verse we talked about yesterday, 1 Timothy 4:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind, because we're going to talk about another kind of heavy topic when we talk about sexual assault. I would much rather be able to sit down and talk with you guys one-on-one or as a class with this, so you could ask questions and get out some uncomfortable things. So if there are some things that are uncomfortable for you today, or if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Miss Green and Miss Robertson are also great ladies in these areas of talking about these kind of hard things, and they love you and care for you as well. So feel free to talk to them too. This is not something that's fun or easy to talk about, but it is something important, and it's something that we need to do. So let's go ahead and get started. What are we going to do today? Today you need to watch the self-protection part 2 video. You've already started that, so congratulations. Get ready to check that off in just a few minutes. You need to read the linked article. It is not a long article, but it does have very good information. And then you need to prepare to discuss the linked article on the March 25th, 2020 discussion board. That discussion board will not be due until Wednesday, but I would suggest going ahead and writing your part of the answers today, because you'll have 2 questions to answer, and then responding on Wednesday. That way everybody has someone to respond to, and you're not writing at 11:59 and struggling at the last minute. Remember, that is a minor assessment grade, so put a lot of thought and effort into it. I'm looking for proper spelling and grammar. I'm looking for punctuation, professionalism, and I'm looking for some real thought-driven stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Today's objectives, we're going to discuss some myths and facts regarding sexual assaults and rape. We're going to read an article from the eyes of a rapist, and we're going to get ready to discuss the things that we've learned through this process. So let's start with reading a Bible verse. Deuteronomy 22:25-27 says, "But if out in the country a man happens to meet a young woman pledged to be married and rapes her, only the man who has done this shall die. Do nothing to the woman. She has committed no sin deserving death. This case is like that of someone who attacks and murders a neighbor. For the man found the young woman out in the country, and though the betrothed woman screamed, there was no one to rescue her." A lot of times women who are victims of rape feel like they are to blame. Maybe they dress too provocatively, or maybe they let on that it was going to be okay, and so they don't talk about it. And that's something that's not true. God desires for you to be in one relationship, and He desires for you to not feel guilty for something that you've done wrong. So you haven't done that wrong, obviously. So that's something that's really sad, and unfortunately a lot of women fall into the thing of thinking that it was their fault, and it's not true. So I wanted y'all to see that straight from the Bible, because what I say is, important-ish, but what God says is the true standard that we hold things to. So if you ever happen to know a girl who does run into this issue, this is a great way to point to her and say, listen, you did not deserve this. This was not your fault, and that's something that's really important. So let's talk about some myths with self-protection. Everything on top is a myth, so you can guess that the thing behind it is going to be the opposite. I hope that y'all will be able to understand these things. So number 1, women report rape regularly. Since it's written here, that's obviously false. 9 out of 10 rapes are actually not reported. That's 90%. That goes back to the fault where women are embarrassed or ashamed or feel like it was their fault, or that people won't believe them. And that actually leads to a bigger problem, because when they're not reported, the men aren't found, and therefore they are not tried, and they continue to operate in that behavior. One of my cousin's best friends, she's in college now. She's 21, and she was actually in a store the other day, and a man walked by and grabbed her in an inappropriate place, like her lady areas. And she said at first she was kind of ashamed of what happened. This was obviously not a rape, but it was a sexual assault. But she decided, after talking and crying to her mom, I can't believe this happened to me, she decided to report the man, and they actually found him, and he had been going around and groping women. And because she came forward, they actually found him and stopped him. And when she came forward, other women came up and did the same thing. And that was something that was hard and scary for her, but she did it. And it was something that was huge. Next thing, rapists are unknown criminals. Typically, you think of rapists, you think the shady looking guy. And this is not actually true. 8 out of 10 rapes are committed by someone known to the victim. That is a scary and sobering fact. Sorry, I just messed up the screen. But it's true. A lot of times it's, I went too far. Sorry, guys. A lot of times it's a friend of the family or a family member or even someone you've gone out on a date with. Unfortunately, that's another reason people don't report, because they seem to think, oh, I shouldn't tell on this person. A lot of times people are groomed first by their rapists. And anytime there are unwanted sexual advances, regardless of who the person is doing, it should be talked about. Number 3, rapists target those they are attracted to. So they're only going to go after the girls that are wearing the skimpy clothing or the girls that are pretty. Actually, a lot of times they're going to target people they think that will not tell. So that's why younger girls are targeted a lot, as young as 12 years old and even younger, sadly, because they're going to target people that they think are not going to tell on them so that they can continue in that behavior. A lot of other times, if it's an unknown person, they're going to target someone that they think looks weak. Those are scary, scary things. Oh, sorry. A girl cannot be raped by someone she said yes to a date with. So he asked me out for the date. I said yes, and things went a little too far, but I led him on, and it's my fault. That is incorrect. Date rape is real, and it can be done through the use of drinking, drugs, or force. So date rape is rape that occurs when you are on a date with someone, and sometimes people do it by getting you heavily intoxicated. Sometimes they do it by slipping you drugs, or sometimes they just force it, and later they claim that it was consensual, and that is never true. If you do not want something to happen, then that is considered to be rape. That's another reason it's wise to set good boundaries from the beginning, and to avoid dating alone. I know that sounds old-fashioned, it sounds crazy, but it is something that can set you up for success, because there's not much you need to do alone. Going into a house with someone unknown is also, or alone, is never a good idea. Next, you can see the drugs that would intoxicate you. Dun, dun, dun. A lot of time, date rape drugs can be placed on the surface of an empty glass, so it appears there is no danger. So you watch the person pour you the drink. Oh, you're fine. You watched the whole time. That's not always the case. It can also, date rape drugs can also be put in things like Coke, lemonade, water, all kinds of things. So you could even be making wise decisions, and the person could be doing bad things to you. So that's why it's so wise to be with a person that is trustworthy, not be alone with a person, and be with a person who loves God and shows that through the actions they're making. All right, sexual assault is rare. Actually, one sexual assault occurs every 73 seconds. So while I've been talking, 8 sexual assaults have happened. That's incredibly sad and incredibly scary and incredibly sobering. That's why we've got to be so wise about what we're doing, so that we don't become part of that number. And then last, college girls are most likely to get raped. Actually, ages 12 to 34 are the highest risk. So that does include college girls, but that includes a lot younger people, and that also includes women that are older. So I'm actually still in that risk factor, and I would have to be careful, just like you guys, even though we are 2 generations apart, or 2 decades nonetheless. So once again, I don't want you girls to be fearful. I don't want you to be afraid, but I do want you to be aware on this. I actually took an entire class on college on this subject, and I learned a lot, and I'm hoping you'll learn a lot more. This is an article that I read something very similar to when I was in college. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this article. It is not enjoy, but be knowledgeable based off of it. It is called victim selection through the eyes of a rapist. Convicted rapists tell all. So that link is on the portal. It's also a lot attached to the discussion board. We'll go over the discussion board questions, then I'll let you go. You're going to answer the following 2 questions in complete sentences. Number 1, what was the one thing that surprised you in the article you read? So when you read it, what did you read? And you were like, what? I know what mine is. I haven't talked about it on purpose because it's something I learned in my class. Maybe I'll talk with you about it tomorrow, but it's something I learned in my class, but I was like, oh my goodness, that makes sense, but wow. And then what is the most important thing mentioned in the article in your opinion? So those are the 2 questions you're answering on the board from your opinion in complete sentences. Remembering you're going to be graded based on spelling, grammar, and professionalism. Then, fast forward to tomorrow-ish, you're going to reply to another student's comment that picked another most important thing than you. So you said this was most important and they said this. I want you to tell them in a constructive way, so don't be like, you're dumb, I'm smart, duh. Why you believe your option is the most important. Use at least 2 complete and thoughtful sentences. So maybe support it with research if you want, put a statistic in there, but talk about why you believe yours is most important. Obviously, we're not tearing each other down, but I do want you guys to really think through your thoughts and be passionate and proud about them. Have a great day, and if you need anything, message me on the portal, please. Talk to you soon. Bye.